Hi, my name is Karen Holmes. I'm the founder and director of the World Peace Organization for the One World Government. Today I wanted to share with you some information about the organization. I don't know if you've ever seen any of the blogs or my websites or anything like that, but one of them, the banner that goes around the top, our colors are blue, like navy blue, and white and gold. And the reason we have those colors is because those are the colors of the earth, you could say, when in an eclipse. If you were looking at a picture of the earth from space, it's the whole earth with no boundaries, no borders. Everything is all unified from earth, where it's like we're taking a picture from heaven down on earth, but we're also people on earth who are looking up at heaven. So I have pictures of the clouds and the blue sky from like both perspectives. Okay? I wanted to do that because As Above, So Below is one of the books that I did that I've been working on with Lady Gaia, the female aspect of God. We are looking at what it's like as on earth, so as it is in heaven. We would like to create heaven on earth, and that's the whole picture idea. So what our organization is doing is we are making it possible for people to go to create heaven on earth. Lady Gaia and I Am That I Am are our parent creators. We are created in the image of God. Okay, before we're born, we're all God's children basically, and it doesn't matter. We're all subject to universal law. So that's why I introduced the letter to the Supreme Court. We're working to create heaven on earth. We're making it possible for everybody to go to heaven. And then what causes people... So the first government proposal, you could say, is what causes people to go to hell. The difference between heaven and hell and purgatory. Okay, I've talked about the three levels of the three choices, not levels, but the three choices that we have. We have heaven, hell, or purgatory. So when people, like what we have now, is the three potential futures where we have going down into hell from the acts of revenge that are happening. Dante talked about pegging yourself to the last wall of hell. Isn't that what's happening? Is the people, like the people that you don't like, the people who are getting revenge, have pegged themselves to the last wall of hell. Purgatory is when you don't solve the problems and you pass them on to future generations. So most of us have been living, we can't figure out how to get to heaven. So people have been praying for peace and asking God to help us. For world peace to come, half the population had to pray for peace. So then they could come and help us. It's like a majority rules kind of thing there too. When our prayer circle that I started prayed for certain ideas, which you can do the same thing, we prayed for the 100-mile radius, the planet, and the galaxy. We are creating peace in our own circles, and then as we work with the channels on the tent tour, we are going to be helping to set up a structure where everybody can go to the psychics, the channels, the prophets, we would have been called in the olden days. Okay, they could have gone to prophets to get help. So we're praying for the planet. We prayed for the planet, and then the planet we prayed for peace for the planet, we prayed for this, and then we prayed for the galaxy. So we are creating a structure where everybody in the United States, 100-mile radiuses, are going to be able to tend to. We're setting up a structure so everybody can can go and create heaven on earth in their own 100-mile radius so they can see the personal benefits of it. They have a way out of their crisis, a way out of hell, a way out of purgatory. Okay, then the planet, we're creating an international government, and then we're going to take it to the stars and become part of the Galactic Federation. We're going to take, instead of having the aliens come and work with one people, like if we were Native Americans and the white people came and gave guns just to one tribe, and then they took it and their vendetta out on us. Okay, we all have the right to have our cultures and our religions respected. No one has the right to have the guns when nobody else has them, or the nuclear weapons. Okay, because that backs people into the corner. We're creating heaven on earth. Okay, so in our organization, my organization is set up to mimic heaven on earth too. That my organization is, I am I've talked about the 3 levels. The one is the principles, one is the power, and one is the project. I am the principles of the organization, the principle of the organization that sets the principles that decides where we're going. We are creating heaven on earth. We are not a non-profit organization like the one that's working for the Equal Rights Amendment. That goes like this because all they have to do is say we don't want it. When Congress can say we don't want it. And then you pass the crisis on to future generations. Or down basically is when you control the Supreme Court. You have a conservative Supreme Court, and we're going to now tell you we're going to take away your right to have your bodies over your body and make your own choices about what your life is going to be like. We're going to tell you what your life is going to be. No, that's down into the power games. And people die when there's the power games. Okay? So what we want to do is we are going to separate this out before you were born, before anybody was born. You went through. After you died, you recycled. You've heard of reincarnation, probably everybody has. Before you were born, you went to the karmic board. You made mistakes in other lives, so you went to the karmic board and you said, which exists in heaven, there are boards in heaven. You went to the karmic board and you said, I would like to work to undo the karma that I did in past lives. Okay? God, I would like to be reborn. The time has come for me to be reborn. I would like to be reborn, and then I would like to undo the damage that I did in past lives. I was going for a period of time. I made mistakes. I died. I didn't figure out how I could get my life, and now I am working my way out of my crisis by allowing myself to function on a higher level. Okay, you've done that for 10,000 lifetimes. You went for a period of time. You've screwed up. You did something where you believed you couldn't get your life. You got backed into a corner, and there were only 2 options. There was no way to get it. So you made mistakes. You created by default. You made mistakes. It's like Bill Murray's Groundhog Day. You went for a period of time. You were in Bill Murray's Groundhog Day, over and over and over and over and over and over and over, dying over and over and over 10,000 lifetimes. Bill Murray's Groundhog Day. Everybody has been doing it. I've had 10,000 lifetimes too, just like everybody else. My guides, I'm a psychic. My gift from God is to be able to communicate with anyone on the other side. But my guides are the past kings and queens and presidents who are coming back. And basically, in past lives, we've all been kings and we've all been slaves. We've done it all. we've gone in and we've learned every lesson over and over and over again. 10,000 lifetimes we have failed. But this is our opportunity now for us to create heaven on earth. And so when we went to the karmic board, we asked for help, God help us. And then we went out and God helped us. We were able to go back in and try again. When at first you don't succeed, try again 10,000 times. And now is time for us to come up with applying the same principles on heaven as it is on earth. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. The Lord's Prayer. We say the Lord's Prayer, okay? And forgive us our trespasses. We forgive those who trespass against us. On earth as it is in heaven. On earth as it is in heaven. We are now praying for God, and God is giving us the opportunity to create heaven on earth. You have prayed too. If you've ever said the Lord's Prayer, you've wanted the same thing in heaven as it on earth as it is in heaven. Okay, your prayers were answered. And sometimes you never felt that they ever were. They were answered. If you ever said the Lord's Prayer, your prayer was answered. We are creating heaven on earth. All right, so my organization is creating a network of people and nations, and we're all creating heaven on earth from our own perspective. We have we're working first with the United States because we're a melting pot. We're an overview idea. We've made mistakes. We've pegged if we are the principles, we peg us at a certain level. We have created this, but it's not always easy to know that if we stand on the principles, peg ourselves. If we're creating heaven on earth for everybody, we peg ourselves at a very high level. If we use revenge and we do hostile takeovers, then it's a very low level. So we have to create heaven on earth. Before you were born, you went to the karmic board. You had to undo the damage you were done to get your power back. When you did that, when you went there, you created a soul group. You were part of a soul group. Everybody coming back like a soulmate. You've heard of that before. That is a soul group. You're part of a soul group. And you recognize people. You know, I think I've met you before. You seem very familiar to me. That is the feeling that you get. I met somebody from my soul group. Okay. A soulmate isn't necessarily the person who is going to be your spouse for the rest of your life and forever and ever. Yeah. Okay, so this is all that. You made a soul group to come back in to do something like this. My organization, you could say, the 200 families, we're a soul group. We came here to create this international government world parallel to a country. Okay, but world peace requires the active participation of every person on the planet, and that is, you could say that the whole world is a soul group. You could say that the whole galaxy is a soul group. We're all helping Lady Gaia make her ascension from the 12th dimension to the 13th dimension. As we create heaven on earth, we're elevating the whole universe to function on a higher level. Okay, so all of this stuff, everything that I'm telling you now has been sent in these books that I've channeled. I have government proposals and founding documents and all these things to help make heaven on earth. That includes everybody. The problem that you run into is that a lot of people are not ready yet. But we're going through this schism, and we're starting to, the people who've prayed are going, I like this idea. I don't like that idea. I don't like with Vladimir Putin taking over Ukraine. I don't like this war. I don't like this war. I don't think we need to have wars anymore. Okay, so all of these ideas, our planet is going to be going through these government proposals step by step, learning the lessons like at school. we're going to school. You know what that's like. We're going to learn that why that doesn't work. We're going to learn the principles of all these things. The best teacher that you ever had in school was the person who said, the worst teacher that you ever had was the person who said, okay, tomorrow I want you to remember this. I want you to sit down and I want you to memorize in 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. Okay, 1492. Okay, I have a bunch of facts in my mind. But isn't the best teacher that you ever had the person who told you a story? Okay, and that story to put you into a situation where you could understand it. You watch movies because you can understand a whole idea. Allegorical stories, you see the same things over and over again. If you have to remember facts, okay, I have this big, huge textbook. I want you to remember everything that's in it because your life depends on it. You go to college and you learn your career. You have facts. You have to learn the Krebs cycle. I was a dental hygienist. I had to learn the Krebs cycle, biochemistry, head and neck anatomy, gross anatomy, radiology, cytology. I had to learn all that stuff. And then I learned most of it, everything, my first week as a dental hygienist. We're still practicing. Okay, so this is where it is. We learn the facts, but then we also have to have the practice of it too. The facts peg us on a high level, but the practice, the application of the principles is what's important. Before you were born, you went to the karmic board and you wanted to do something to do this. Your project allows you to fulfill that promise to God. You have a soul agreement. So my organization is based on the idea of a plan board and then a financial board. The planning board, I'm the principal. The application of the principles are the boards. I have a nonprofit organization. I have to set up boards, the planning board, like a karmic board, and then the financial board. When you were in heaven, when you went to the karmic board and you brought together people, you had to come up with a plan that benefited everyone. That was to fulfill your purpose in life. It might have been a group purpose, a racial purpose, and an individual purpose. You had let's say, your flower of life level, you had your individual level, and then you had your family level. And that allowed you to overcome the power games, work together based on the principles of the cooperation of nature. And your individual purpose is you had to be able to get your life too. Otherwise, you would go down into the games, you would die. Okay, so all these things here explain why I am setting up the organization the way it is. Let's say, if you live in a community, if you're doing what's in everyone's best interest, and you have people out there saying, I like it, I like what you're doing, keep it up, I support that idea. I'm not going to necessarily do that, but I like what you're doing. Keep up the good work. That's what my Brax page is all about. It's giving me a thumb up so that other people think it's a great idea. That's what thumbs up mean. When you do that, when you get a whole bunch of people who like that idea, then it goes out to other people. It's kind of like something that you can choose from. The thumbs down, people don't pay any attention to it. When I have people in 87 countries, I've passed cultural review for my plan. People in 87 countries like it. That allowed me to leverage it to the world's leaders, to the ambassadors, and then to the world's leaders. Brax page allowed me to do that. But the independent members are people who basically are saying that they believe they're going along with their life. I am living my life. I was a dental hygienist. I was married. I had a daughter. I have a daughter and a son. I was married. I have have grandchildren. I'm getting my life. But I wasn't getting my life because I wasn't fulfilling my purpose in life. I was homeless because I believed it that I didn't have a home, basically. I felt that I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. I went along, I crashed. I went into the abyss, and then I had to work my way out again. And then I had started the prayer circle, and then now I am finding my niche. I'm finding my vocation and my avocation. When you find your life partner, you have a vocation and an avocation, and your vocation avocation match. I watched a movie the other night that was really charming. I loved it. It was, in fact, I might even carry this movie in the store if the spiritual hierarchy thinks it's a good idea. It's called IQ. It had Meg Ryan and Tim Robbins and Walter Matthau. Walter Matthau played Albert Einstein, and Meg Ryan is his niece. And she's very intelligent. She's a mathematician. Also, she lives with him. And she has a boyfriend, and they're talking about getting married. And he's intelligent, but he's not her life partner. The life partner is Tim Robbins, who's a car mechanic. He's an amateur physicist. He's fascinated by the stars. He's fascinated by the comet. He's an amateur, but he knows enough. He's fascinated by it. But what he is he's professional at the heart. He's somebody who loves things. He loves people. He loves doing things. He falls in love with her. So what it is that she's an amateur at the heart and a professional physicist, mathematician. And so they create this agreement like this. He mentors her at being at loving people and being at the heart, and she mentors him at physics and mathematics. So he's an amateur and she's the professional, and they mentor each other. So that's what the whole idea is. That's a very strong relationship that you have with this. You need to find your life partner. You need your vocation and your avocation. So to create heaven on earth, that's how you find the person who is your life partner. So you are going to create relationships like that instead of the person who is a romantic attachment, who basically your relationship turns out based on revenge, or basically just peters out and you just die of boredom after all that time because you're not getting your life. Or up is when you create this relationship and you have to know what your vocation is and your avocation. You see what I mean? We're creating heaven on earth. We're creating the relationship that carries you up into heaven, so to speak. This is the relationship that God created, not this and not this. No matter if you go to church, churches don't necessarily do what's heaven on earth. And that's what we're going to do, is we're going to make churches heaven on earth also. Okay, so that's all I wanted to talk to you today about. My organization has planning boards and the karmic board, planning and karmic board, and the financial board. Our assets will be used to support the projects. And our projects, I was given a list of the initial projects and a list of the people who are there, and those are the people on my mailing list. I'm St. Peter. I'm an archetype of St. Peter, so I am the one who decides. You have to have your name in the book of life for you to be able to create heaven on earth. For you to be accepted into heaven, you have to have your name on my mailing list, so to speak. And then basically the 200 people are are parallel to, let's say, the community. We're parallel to the 200 countries. We might even be parallel to the 200 nations, or galaxies that are species that are up in the galaxy. Okay, but I don't know that because that's something I haven't figured out yet. I haven't been told that. The galaxy idea will come in another after we bring world peace. Okay, so that's what I wanted to say is we're working to create heaven on earth. If you ever went to church and you ever said the Lord's Prayer, your prayers are being answered. Okay, but now what it is you have to start, you have enough information behind you that you've been exposed to in the organized religions. Once you reach the point where you start saying, this isn't enough, I have questions, and these questions, there's religion for the masses, where it's okay if you are just the person who's got, I am getting my life, I'm a dental hygienist, and I'm married, and I have a house, and I have a car, and, once you say that's not enough, and you start looking for answers, that's when you start looking for solutions. When you back yourself into the corner and you ask God for help, that's when when God can talk to you. So all this stuff, you know how this works. You know how this works already because you've been exposed to it over and over again. But now it's time to become actually a student of religion, a spiritual student, and for you to start taking this seriously and for you to start actually going along and creating the life you want. If you are an alcoholic and you go to a 12-step program, in fact, I ran across a 12-step program that goes 12 to life. And I thought, that's pretty cool because that's what we're doing too, is we're going like a 12-step program, how to get out of your crisis, but then we take it all the way to create the life you want. And that's where we are now, is we're creating plans. We have to come up with the planned idea. And then, but the first people that come in are going to be demonstrating plans. We're breaking world peace, which is a huge idea, into segments. We're going to have the technology, all the principles related to technology, the principles relating to business and economics, the principles related to crisis in the family, the principles related to conflict resolution, the principles related to insecurity, the principles related to capacity and tolerance and empowerment. Okay, so we're looking at each of the world's 7 major religions and taking those ideas further. We're taking all the ideas of what you learned in school within the organized religions and the school, mathematics, business, economics. We're taking all of these ideas and we're making them on earth as it is in heaven. We're looking down at what heaven is and to create it down here. My logo is the earth, and it's got it's the diamond ring effect with in an eclipse. It's all dark out here, and then the diamond ring effect is the spiritual light that's shining behind us. We are turning the spiritual light of heaven on earth. We are looking from below, and we're looking up at God, and we're saying, this is what we would like to create here, up here. And this is what we are doing up here, looking down. Okay? So that's all I wanted to talk about today. So when you are looking at, if you are, no, it's not what I want to talk about, talk about. I wanted to say, if you are I've talked about Lauren Boebert, and I've talked about Marjorie Taylor Greene, I've talked about Donald Trump over and over and over again. The truth is, Donald Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert were chosen to be elected officials, you could say, by the Republican Party, because the Republican Party needs to bring people in. George Bush brought in the Christians a long time ago when he was president, and he said we're the party of business and economics, we're the party here, but we need to bring in, he equated God and religion with patriotism and with the Constitution. He brought in a group of people, the conservative Christians, into the Republican Party. You know, you look at people like Jeff Flake, the Republicans, the real Republicans are the party that, let's say, they used to be known as like the white collar workers. If you were a white collar worker, you were interested in business and economics and money. You were interested in power. And the Democrats were the blue collar workers. When I was growing up, I considered the Democratic Party to be the blue collar workers. And they would come together and they would come up with programs that benefit the people or benefit business. And then what happened is the Republican Party under George Bush, and I'm sure it was before that, that's when I became aware of politics. So when the Republican Party started under Bush, started to bring in the conservative Christians, he changed that. The ultimate conclusion, you could say, of that was to make, he did that with the idea of patriotism, and when he went to war was patriotic. And people are going, you know, war is not necessarily patriotic. There were a lot of people who looked at, after Vietnam, who were looking at it and saying, we don't want war, we don't want war, we don't trust that. Oh yeah, we're patriotic. Oh no, you know, war is fought for reasons that, you know, we're taking over natural resources, we're taking over this. War is dirty. Oh no, war is patriotic. You know, so there was this schism that had already kind of started there. So when you look at Lauren Boebert and you look at Marjorie Taylor Greene and you look at the people who have been brought in to further an agenda, and even on the Democratic Party with the squad, so to speak, they were brought in with an agenda, but not necessarily bad, but basically the whole idea is to start solving problems. The thing is, the people who have a part, they're influencers. They're the light bearers, but they can only influence their own people. They can only, Marjorie Taylor Greene and the thing with Gestapo and Gazpacho, you know, basically she's functioning outside of her element. She can talk to people who are part of her group. On the internet, you look at people who are influencers, why they influence a certain group of people, but the people outside of that, they're not interested in listening. The President of the United States is supposed to constitutionally represent all of the United States, not just one problem. If Donald Trump, for example, is trying to influence his people who watched The Apprentice, he influenced a group of people who were The Apprentice. Those are the people, but now he's losing power because his brand has gone down. It's like he's been fired. He's lost his power because he's done that. The problem with doing influencers and bringing the party in, you destroyed the party. Donald Trump, George Bush destroyed the party because he is no longer the money. He equated ideas that shouldn't have been equated. If we created heaven on earth, everybody has their vocation and their avocation. Everybody has their niche. Everybody has to function from their own capacity and influence only 5 people, and those are the people who are your flower of life people. The principles of the cooperation of nature. So influencers like Donald Trump will get down to the point where he only has 1 vote. It'll all come down to 1 vote, 1 person, when you're being squeezed to come in. And those are the battles of Armageddon. This time period is known as Armageddon. It separated the people into 4 groups. The people who stand on principles, the people who focus on money and power, the people whose lives are affected, and the people who function for their own interests. These are Donald Trump functions for his own interest. Lauren Boebert will get to the point where she only has 1 person she influences, and that's herself. They're all people who function for them down here for their own selves are 180 degrees from where they think they are. if they're holding on to Donald Trump, we're seeing it already that they're losing their power. So there has to be a way for all people to come in, and that's where we're talking about with the world peace marketing strategy. People prayed for heaven. This is Armageddon. This is the rapture, where two people are sitting in the field and one is taken and the other is left behind. When Saddam Hussein said, "I'm the rightful president of the United States," and there were no weapons of mass destruction, George Bush was a Christian, but he got left behind in the rapture. So we're talking about Armageddon. We're talking about the rapture. I'm talking about world peace. I'm talking about on earth as it is in heaven. The rapture is happening. We're living in the rapture. If you basically went down into the power games at a moment of choice, you got left behind. But that's okay. You just became part of the pool of people who one day will stand on the principles. You will be taken when you stand on the principles. And that's what my world peace marketing strategy is going to do. Is the people who are ready to come in by standing on the principles, they'll bring in their family, they'll bring in, and then they'll start sorting out all the mess that we have. So people go along, they go into the abyss. When Donald Trump realizes that his brand is gone and he's trying desperately to figure out, and he's the only one left, that he's not ever going to be run for president of the United States, then we have to start figuring out a new way to do that. And the international government will possibly stand on higher principles than the U.S. government, and changes have to happen. I have to purify the legal system to prevent the chaos from our legal system from spreading on the international level. Each government proposal will explain all the principles. You're going to school to learn how to create the life you want. You're going to be part of the faith of the puree. You're going to learn government proposals, and you're going to, by the time you get done with all these 60 government proposals, you will understand how to create an international government. You will vote. You will be an educated voter. You will be part of the international government. You will know what your rights are. You will know what your rights are. When you stand up in protest, one individual stands up in protest in the international government, you will be able to take your protest all the way to the Supreme Court. And you will figure out, you will know what exactly it is to how to protect your rights. You won't have to do something like join the ERA to protect your rights that you already have. Well, you're being flummoxed because you already have those rights and you just don't know how to protest. Okay? So by the time you get ready, you will be able to go to the stars. You'll be able to vote on the plan that benefits everyone, that protects everyone's rights. You will create heaven on earth. Okay? And then on heaven on earth, then we'll go create heaven as part of the Galactic Federation. We will integrate our alien parts of self. We will be part of the aliens who are out in space. Instead of Elon Musk or the shadow government that is working with the aliens now and getting technology, I can go back to Atlantis and tell you that alien technology was being used in Atlantis, and that's why the earth was broken apart. Okay? That's why there are all these things happening, that alien technology was used in Atlantis. Okay, so all of this stuff you will understand, and you'll be able to understand, you'll be able to recognize heaven on earth. And you will be at peace because we are creating heaven on earth. Okay, you'll recognize it, and then you'll still have the right to vote for it. And if you don't like it, we'll change it. Okay, but we won't change it unless it benefits everyone. And you can't leave everyone out. We'll talk about the principles associated with the projects and why they are that way. Okay, so you can recognize I want you, if you are Lauren Boebert, Donald Trump, or anyone else, if you are an influencer, what I want you to do, your job, you have a new job, and that is not to become elected, because you just won't get elected. I want you to become a watchdog of the organization. You will become a watchdog of the organization. The 25% of the population of the planet right now are influencers who they have their people. What I want you to do, then my next step is to make you watchdogs of my organization. You have a new job. I want you to question everything. I want you to look at it. I want you to look at what I'm doing, and I want you to question everything. Instead of questioning the Democrats, I want you to question me. I want you to open a debate, and down below, I want you to question everything. I want you, if anything, tell you what, I'm going to give you a little bit of a hint. Have you ever heard of the Anonymous? The group Anonymous? I was pinged by Anonymous. I was pinged, and then I passed their test. They never targeted me. I passed their test. I passed the test of people in 87 countries. I passed cultural review. Now I'm going to challenge you. I want you to question me. If you're Donald Trump, I want you to question me. I want you to comment in the down below, and I want you to join the debate. If you have a whole bunch of people, I want you to question this. If you want to create heaven on earth, what is heaven like for you? Okay? So that's what I'm asking you to do today, is like, share, and subscribe, but share with the people who are the Lauren Boeberts and the Donald Trumps, and the people, instead of ridiculing them and telling them that they're stupid or whatever, I want you to send them to me. All right? I'll tell your worst nightmare people, the people who are ready to start the rebellion, you come to me. Okay? You come to my organization and you question everything I'm doing. Did I get the message across? Okay, sometimes it takes 29 times saying that. How many times have I said it before people listen to what people have to say? All right, if you have a whole bunch of people, if you're listening and you have a whole bunch of people who are totally clueless, and they're spouting off stuff and they're going, okay, why are people making fun of me? Okay? I want you to send them to me. Okay? Like, share, and subscribe. Okay? Okay? Heaven on earth. Okay? Thanks for stopping by.